Hi, I'm Steve Knutson. I am the Director and Founder of Stratus Technology Partners in Christchurch, New Zealand. I'm a SharePoint consultant. I'm also a Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services focused on SharePoint and a Microsoft Regional Director.
What does it take for a business to stay truly future ready in today's tech-driven environment?
I think there's two kind of main things. I think the first one is having a learning culture in the organization so that we have focused on learning what's new that's coming along. And the second thing is being purposeful about our strategy and direction. So not staying still, being purposeful about moving forward and keeping up with what's going on.
What is your boldest prediction for the future of your industry?
Soft skills will win, I think. We'll still have a requirement for technical skills, but those technical skills will become less important for the vast majority of people. We'll still need a small group of people or a smaller group of people who are deeply technical, but there'll be a greater emphasis on soft skills and working with others.
What trends or shifts in the tech services space do you think leaders are still underestimating today?
Well, I think two things. One is the rise of sort of chatbots and customer service is sort of front of mind for people at the moment, but we need to sort of not forget the people element of it. So I think we need to find new ways to weave in person-to-person engagement through our processes with our clients. If we don't, then we just become a transactional relationship, and then that's not easy to move from. So it's not sticky. Let's keep the people stuff going.
What are 3 things you recommend your clients to consider when evaluating their SaaS purchases?
Start with what is it you're doing. Understand your requirements and your evaluation criteria is the first step. Consider the fit with the wider tool set that you have. So don't look at a point solution in isolation. Look at how that fits into the rest of your wider ecosystem. And that probably leads into the third element, which is how do we integrate into it? And also, how do we get our data out in the future if we need to move somewhere else?
What is something about leading in tech that nobody tells you?
Tech isn't about tech, it's about people. And our job is to connect the technology to people so they can get on and do their thing. You can start off thinking very easily it's all about technology. It's definitely about people.
You've led many organizations through major migration projects. In your experience, what separates smooth migrations versus the more difficult ones?
I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record, but it's actually people. When we are doing a migration, we're taking someone's environment from one place and moving it to somewhere else. Often that involves transforming the information on the move. So we're not doing a lift and shift, we're doing a transformation through that process. So people have to understand why we're doing that. They have to be on the journey with you, and we have to take them on the journey with you through that process. And if you don't, then things will go bad. But if you do, then people will get it and they'll start leveraging the technology and running on with it beyond the end of the project. So a good change management plan and a good project manager should definitely be part of any migration strategy.
What are the most common areas organizations overlook when they are planning a move off of legacy systems?
They often forget what happened in the past. And so we do a lot of migrations of document management systems. And often we are developing using an API, for example, to read data from the source system and move it to a new system. Sometimes the data is not structured in exactly the same way SharePoint likes it to be. And sometimes things have happened in the past where perhaps the data has been manipulated, so we have incomplete metadata, or we have a structural change that happened in a system that's especially common if they've been around for many years and through a series of upgrades, is often poor data quality. And that can really impact both the timeline for the migration and also the quality of the result that you get at the end.
Can you share a lesson learned from a complex migration that changed how you actually approach projects today?
I've got a great example of this. This has been fundamental to how we work. So we started a migration project, and it quickly became apparent to us that we had a big challenge with the timeline and engaging with large numbers of people. There's 118 different teams in this organization, and we needed to move them all from an old SharePoint to a new SharePoint, and implement a whole lot of new functionality through the process, so on-prem to the cloud and other improvements. So when we did that, what we discovered quite quickly was the organization was very hard to get people engaged and get them into a room to actually sign off on things. So what we did was we changed our process to a single touch migration approach where we design the environment, we bring them into the environment, do the review with them, train them, and cut them over in one go, and then leave an opportunity for improvement after the migration. And in that way, we were able to get through 118 teams in a 3-month period. And then the other thing we did, which was great, was make the plan visible to the organization. Everyone could see where they were in the process, and it created urgency. So that was really, really good. And what could have been a very difficult project.
With AI and automation now a part of Microsoft, how is migration strategy evolving beyond that lift and shift that you talked about earlier, and then targeting more smarter, data-driven transformation process?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. I would say the business users are now aware of things that previously existed, but have just now been highlighted to them. So around personally identifiable information, and so on. So when we're doing the migrations, we're spending a lot more time focusing on the quality of the content coming in. So not bringing across everything, just the stuff which is current. Archiving a lot and focusing heavily on this security configuration to make sure that we've got we're not exposing ourselves to a privacy issue, for example. And that's business driven. They're wanting that, whereas previously we would ask for that and they would say, we don't need much of that, just move it. So I think people's attitudes are changing.
You've built and overseen countless intranet projects. What do you believe makes an intranet truly successful for both the users and the governance perspective?
I'll definitely start with the users here. So for users, good information architecture and good quality content, and making sure that we have a solution that actually solves some of their problems. It's very easy to build an intranet and then not have enough good quality content, so it's a bit underwhelming. And I'm a firm believer that you get one shot at getting people engaged. If you don't get them in the first go, it's hard work later. So that's the user side, good quality content and good OIA. On the governance side, again, this is the ongoing management of the intranet over time, having a commitment, having a budget, and actually having a really good decision-making process. So for people to make decisions about, do we bring a new feature in? How much do we invest in this? Those types of questions, and having a governance group to do that, critically important. And I'd say from a technical governance point of view, having tools to maintain the environment so that it's not overloading someone that never gets to those tasks as well, because we're time poor in general. So automating governance where we can is also important.
How do you approach the balance between giving employees freedom to collaborate while also maintaining that right level of structure and control in SharePoint?
Yes, so starting with the governance approach. So the first thing is like, who can create a site in a library structure or a new Microsoft team? Having some controls around that. Sometimes we want to automate that and allow anyone do it, but at least have someone having visibility over it. It takes a long time to get to the maturity level in an organization where everyone knows to do the right thing. So we need tools for that. The second part of that, I think, is around distinguishing between what is company required and what is team or individual required. So for example, we may have metadata that needs to be applied to all documents at the company level for classification for records management, but we may want to also empower individual teams or departments to add to the metadata and have their own team level metadata to drive their business processes. So having a model that supports that, I think, enables the organization while also having the right controls in place. And it's definitely a balance that's different for different organizations depending on compliance requirements or the level of maturity that they have in the business.
How do you see the role of Copilot changing the way organizations actually design and manage intranets?
So this is an exciting topic. There'll be more at Ignite next week, I think. But if you've seen the knowledge agent that Microsoft have released recently is a great example of a tool that helps different people in different audiences. So we've got tools to help maintain your site. We've also got tools to help content creators create better quality content faster. And review. And one of the big challenges with content creation is that review cycle can, if it's too onerous, or the person's not a great writer and not following the right sort of styles, it can create a big overhead. So removing a lot of the overhead through the use of AI tools to work smarter, I think will be the key thing. And then maybe for our end users, a question which came up recently was, like, will AI replace the internet? We still need a place to publish content. That's the internet. Where we consume that could be Teams, it could be an AI chatbot, or it could be somewhere else. That doesn't matter so much. We still need that place to publish and anchor the organization.
You've built your own company and you've developed teams from the ground up. What is the most valuable leadership lessons that you learned along the way?
Probably the very first one is like, listen and understand the what it is that teams need to be successful. It's very easy, and I'm not the greatest at this, but it's very easy to go in with your own idea of how things should be done that don't necessarily work well, and that might work well for an individual, but not for a team. So I think working and listening to the team, and it's a repetitive thing. It takes a long, long time to build habits, but structuring and building those habits is critical over the long term. Otherwise, you'll never let go of anything.
When growing a technical team, how do you create an environment that both encourages excellence while still being able to have curiosity?
So we've built a learning culture in our team, which I think sort of answers to this. So we have it happens at different levels. So we have some formal requirements around certification, for example, and that's to make people aware of all of the capabilities of the tools that they're using. And then we have, we call it Let's Talk SharePoint, because we get together once a week. We talk about the things that we've been working on. We demonstrate things that we've created so others can see what we've built. And it sparks conversation. It raises awareness within the team of what's possible, because everyone's at a different level. And then we also have project retros and so on to learn lessons out of projects, both as we're in flight, so there can be different stages of a project, but also the end of project lessons learned. And we do that systematically to make sure that we're capturing the lessons.
You've described taking teams from that startup mode to a little bit more of a well-oiled machine. What are the ingredients in making that transition successful?
I think the key thing is get everyone involved in the transition. You need to explain why you need to make the change. So it's a change management process essentially. So why do we need to do this? What's in it for us as when we make the change? And having the team engaged with it. If you don't do that, then it will be you telling the team this is how we're going to work, and that's not necessarily going to be the best approach for the team. I think you also need to recognise, like saying it out loud, right? Just actually articulating out loud, this is what we're doing, and repeating to reinforce what you're doing, and then look back and show the journey. Where have we come from? Where are we going to? So have we made progress? Those things are all important parts of that change exercise, and it never really ends. There's always the next level that you can get to. So you've got to chip away at it in steps rather than doing one gigantic leap. Yeah.
How do you think professional communities have evolved in the Microsoft ecosystem, and what value do they bring to today's IT professionals?
I think they've evolved quite a lot, and I think the main driver probably would have been the COVID pandemic, because a lot of our community events were face to face. They went to being fully online, and then they've moved back, some to in person again, some still trying to do online. So we've got a mix of things now. So I think that the community is quite different than it probably was 5 years ago, and it's definitely different now than it was a couple of years ago. What we're seeing, or what I've been doing locally, is running local in-person events and getting very good turnouts to those events because people like to connect with people. And so the focus, although there's a topic to talk about, the focus is on connecting people who just happen to be interested in that topic. And I think we're seeing much more of that now in our tech communities in general. It's much more community and maybe a little less tech, but not fully, right? I think it's topics are changing, but the connecting people is the key thing that I think is important.
You can take the people out of the office, but can you really take the tech out of the people? Not really, right?
Yes, not really, not really. Yeah,
yeah. How does community engagement influence your work as a consultant and as a business owner?
I think it's a mutually beneficial thing. So, as a consultant, you have ideas around how you might want to work, and you learn lessons. Sometimes things go well, sometimes they don't. And you're not the only person in that boat. So I think the good thing about the community is that you can get together, you can talk about things in sort of general terms, and find that you're not alone. That's the first one. So other people have had this problem too, or they thank you because they haven't had that problem yet. And then if I flip that around to the business side, often you'll get inspiration from other people in the community and say, well, this is how they've approached something, or they might be the expert on the subject. So what do they think about this before you go back to the client? Joanne Klein is someone that she's one of your fellow Canadians. She does fantastic work around Purview, for example. So, I read her blog and I like to know how she thinks about things. That definitely influences how I think about things. And there's many others as well.
It's also interesting. I think you make a good point about like what even is community anymore. You're talking about a Canadian that you're reaching out to and picking the brain of, and that's kind of one of the beauties of obviously technology is there's local community which feels a certain type of way, and then there's global community and how to actually even maximize that both from a personal and professional standpoint as well.
Yeah, and I think as I blog and I have a YouTube channel, so I tend to find that my audience for that is actually international and not so much local. There's a few people in the office that follow me, but the vast majority of people that contact me about it are in the Northern Hemisphere, in a different time zone to me. And it helps me to ground my thinking and get my am I thinking about this the right way and getting feedback? It's a two-way street, doing that kind of publishing of content as well.
Absolutely. So SharePoint has been the cornerstone of collaboration for decades, of course. How do you see its role evolving as AI and automation become a lot more central in the Microsoft environment?
So AI is, I was talking to someone about this the other day about knowledge bases. If your knowledge base is out of date and poor quality content, then not only are your people going to find the wrong answer when they go looking for something or not find the thing they're looking for, but your AI is also going to have the same problem. It's just going to be faster. Right? So I think what this will mean for people that work in SharePoint is that more focus needs to be on keeping the environment tidy and current. We need to automate that with we need tools and processes to automate that because it's a big job. 2 billion documents a day or something coming into SharePoint at the moment. So, it's a huge problem, right? To manage. So, and then we need to have good governance around AI usage in our organizations as well, linked to policy in SharePoint. So SharePoint configuration to restrict which content can be accessed by whom, as combined, so the technology problem combined with good organizational policy and practices as well. Information tidy. People that are good at keeping their information tidy will benefit the most. Yeah.
What upcoming capabilities in Microsoft ecosystems excite you the most for improving productivity and governance?
Definitely agents. I think agents have got lots of enormous possibilities with agents. And we can use them for all kinds of tasks that we don't get to now. Large organizations, or in fact, not even large organizations, any organization with a lot of content is not going to be able to manage it with people because it's too expensive to start with and inefficient. So I like the idea of being able to use agents that can go out there autonomously look at things, come back to me and tell me what it is that needs to be done, and then I can just approve that, and it can go away and do the job for me, so that I can get on with the big picture stuff and not have to worry about the keeping the shed tidy, as it were, in this case. The shed being
Exactly.
SharePoint, of course. Yeah.
If you can give one piece of advice to organizations modernizing their Microsoft environment today, what would that be?
It would be, don't lift and shift your current environment into your future environment, because you're just moving things. So that's not transformation, that's just shifting. Transformation comes from having a deep look at your organization and saying, how do we want to work going forward? Because a lot of the way people are working now on their classic environments and file servers and even old SharePoint was the way they were working 20 or 30 years ago. Now's the opportunity to change. You get the one chance to engage with the organization, do the change management, and re-architect your business. Do it through that transformation.